This is 100.
Are you a scaling SaaS founder?
Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those who don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Well, aloha and welcome back to the SaaS Fuel Podcast, where we celebrate success, learn from failure, and enthusiastically run from one crisis to the next. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you scale from 7 figures, which is good, to 8 and 9 figures, which is outstanding. Together, we supercharge revenue growth, create premium valuation, and craft a business you're proud of and a life of impact and freedom that you absolutely love. Welcome to another special episode of SaaS Fuel, and this is 100. I'm super excited about our guest today. When I started the podcast, I had no idea what I was doing or what it would become. Episode 1 was only good because I had an incredible guest, and that was Neil Gordon. You'll actually hear his number 1 tip today for SaaS founders. He was a tremendous first guest and honestly carried the episode. I was just kind of along for the ride, a little deer in the headlights. And I think I've learned a thing or two along the way. What works, what doesn't. I didn't necessarily set out to make 100 episodes or 200 or anything like that. My goals at the beginning were really pretty simple. There's a lot of content out there. My first goal was to not suck. That's not a great goal. Not very lofty anyway. But that's an important lesson as a leader. And that is that done is better than perfect. We can adjust, improve, make it better. But unless we start, we have nothing to work with. And I wrote my first book the same way, just, crappy first draft, get it out there, get it done, and then work to improve it. And as leaders, when we build organizations, when we build companies, and we're building SaaS products, sometimes the vision is crystal clear. Sometimes it's, a little bit murky. Sometimes the vision, takes a left turn to Albuquerque, because we get feedback from our ideal clients and what they want to do or what they're wanting to use it for or how they envision the product maybe is a little bit different than what we envision. And so it's about iterating and adjusting along the way. But success comes by launching, iterating, innovating, adjusting, and improving, not waiting for perfection or waiting until you know how to do something or until you have a finished product. Episode number 2, my guest, Jim Kane, he said it this way. He said, create a minimum sellable product. And a lot of us have been taught it's about minimum viable product. And he said it needs to be minimum sellable product. You need to be able to collect revenue for it. It needs to have a market, not be a solution in search of a market, but have a market. And that's something that's really stuck with me. And the realization on my journey to 100 episodes, it was really that, with that goal of not sucking, is that it's not about me. It's about you. And that's a lesson that I learned from one of my coaches, Michael and Amy Port. Fantastic in speaking. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about the audience. And so I stopped worrying so much about not sucking and put my full focus and energy on the guests and on you, the audience. And I think of all the things that I learned along the way, that was a turning point. And one of the things that was honestly very free, because it doesn't have to. I don't have to not suck to be successful. It's really about you and creating value for you. The second goal of the podcast, and really became the primary goal, was to highlight the unsung heroes of the SaaS world. People doing amazing things that many of us don't know about. Mighty men, powerful women who are building incredible solutions, most of whom aren't taking ridiculous funding rounds or paying for magazine covers or press releases. They're busy building incredible companies of value. They're changing lives and having fun in the process. And their success, their learnings, their mess ups, and their resilience are the fuel for my own SaaS journey. And I hope for yours as well. Our entrepreneurial journey and the journey of life isn't about getting to the top or the destination. Even if it's a really cool destination, which this is, but it's not about the destination. It is about the people on the journey with us, the teams, the partners, the clients, the families, the teammates that start to feel like family. And I'm really excited to be here with you after 100 episodes and can't wait to see what the future holds. My focus certainly remains on delivering consistent, high-value content, and while not sucking, and spotlighting awesome founders like you. Every single guest inspires me, and I'm constantly amazed at the innovation and creativity. So here's to 100 and 100 more. If you want a group of fellow SaaS founders that feels like family to scale your SaaS with, then check out Champion Leadership Group, today's sponsor. It's the ultimate resource for SaaS founders and C-suite executives like you and me to continue to develop, scale our companies, and never walk alone. Supercharge revenue by leveraging time-tested SaaS growth principles, toolkits, playbooks, and frameworks designed to help you scale ARR from 7 to 8 to 9 figures. Collaborate with an elite network of SaaS visionaries, celebrate wins, and overcome defeats together. Confidently take that right next step that creates a giant leap to profitable growth, premium valuation, and freedom. Learn more at championleadership.com. Well, last week we kicked off our celebration of 100 episodes with 4 different in-person founder interviews at live events, plus some previous guests coming back to drop their number 1 tip for SaaS founders. So if you missed that, go back and check it out. And you know what? It's even better on our YouTube channel. Search for the podcast link or just go to SaaSfuel.com and check it out there. But once again this week, we have a number of guests that I recorded with at live events. I'll give you a brief introduction before each interview starts. And of course, full bios, links are available at SaaSfuel.com. We have some return guests with their number 1 tip for SaaS founders, and their full episodes are linked in the show notes at SaaSfuel.com as well. Well, my first guest is Dan Beckett, CEO of AcctVantage. It's an accounting and ERP solutions that is transitioning to SaaS. I love the transition from legacy to next generation. And, I also found somebody who became a friend and loves coffee, maybe even more than I do. I didn't know that was possible. Way cool. Welcome a great friend, coffee aficionado, and SaaS founder, Dan Beckett. So here, Dan Beckett with CEO of AcctVantage.
Yes, delighted to be here.
So tell me about AcctVantage.
AcctVantage ERP is a middle market accounting, inventory management, kind of a full-fledged ERP package. I've been involved with it for about 20 years now.
Nice.
We serve small businesses in the U.S. that are inventory-centric, we could call. So they're doing wholesale distribution and or what we call light manufacturing, for assemblies and kits level manufacturing.
Very good. And transforming that into a SaaS, and you've got...
I've had a vision for a while about creating a SaaS product, and just with details of the particular way that our current product's implemented, it's not practical to change it. I realize I've got to start with on a new basis. So we've done that starting in January. So I'm climbing the SaaS learning curve
awesome.
Each day at a time, learning what it means to bring this product to market.
And you're working with an external development company. So is it onshore or offshore?
It's offshore. And that was one of the first things that I did was I recognized that this is not something we could do in-house. And I needed to find a development partner. So I looked and talked to people and interviewed a handful of them and settled on one that I really liked and has turned out to be a good decision, I think. We began January 1st. We're right at the beginning of January. So we're, 5 months in now. I got a good feel for the team, and I think I'm learning more from them maybe than they are even from us.
How do you pick a good outsource partner? What are the things that you look for?
Oh man, that's hard because as a first time out, I might have stumbled onto something good unknowingly. I'm not sure. I really liked the founder, and the thing that stood out to me was the communication. The communication with that company's CEO and president was very clear. I got a really good feeling from just speaking with him. And what I know about businesses is the business takes on the characteristics of the person at the top.
Absolutely.
And I sort of trusted that and went ahead with it. And like I said, it's turned out to be a really good thing. I found the team in alignment with the values that I perceived from the founder.
So what are the challenges of having an existing product and then taking that to the future and building something, kind of the next version, the next generation of it?
Well, ideally, everyone in the organization could participate, but we have a business to run, right? We're bootstrapping, so that business is funding all this development, so it's not feasible as much as I would like everyone to be involved. And so we have gotten it off the ground first with just me, now me and another guy, and now I'm inviting everyone to go into our increasing organized pile of requirements docs, and feel free to ask questions. What about this? Shouldn't we do it this way? What about that? So I'm gathering input from everyone. And maybe we've thought that through already. Or maybe that's a great idea and we didn't think of it and we need to input it in now. Or maybe that's a good, this hypothetical version 2. That's the later bucket. And we have lots of things in the later bucket as well, not the MVP.
Right. I like that. So what advice would you have to somebody who's looking to bring on an offshore development team?
I would say find and interview as many of them as you have time to. That's really where I learned about them. I talked to smaller companies and bigger companies. We ended up going with a smaller company, and maybe because it's a culture fit. We're very small at 4 people. They've got 40 on team, so they're still small as well. But I talked to someone who had 400. Now they have a completely different sales cycle. I wasn't connecting with that because I got a small business mindset. I'm a small business selling to small business, so I really connected with the small business. I get how that works, and that was all unspoken. I didn't even know that what was happening until sort of after the fact. So I would say talk to as many of them as you can. The communication is absolutely critical. And whether that's literally just language and accents, can you keep up? Can you hear or understand what's being said? And then there's no way really to test the development team. You kind of have to go with your gut. If the people that you're talking to, you're getting a good vibe from, and the communication is good, at least in our case, that transfer, that's what I continue to see, even when we got into the development team.
Excellent. Where can people learn more about you and about AcctVantage?
They can learn about us on our website, AcctVantage.com. That's AcctVantage.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Jeff. It's Melissa Kwan, co-founder and CEO of eWebinar. Congratulations on your 100th episode. That's quite the accomplishment. And thank you for having me on your show as part of your journey. Today, I want to answer the question, what is one piece of advice you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to build a successful SaaS company? I think one of the best ways to have a front row seat to a startup is to simply work for one. And I don't mean work for a 50-person startup. Like at that size, it's not even really a startup anymore. Try to get in on the ground level. Try to get in on a team with 2 to 5 people. Really be close to the founders and try to see firsthand what it takes for founders to actually build a company from the ground up with very little resources, no support, no branding, and maybe even no funding. I mean, myself being a bootstrapper, of course, I'm a big advocate for doing it on your own, at least without institutional funding. But once you get an idea of what that's like, you'll have a much better idea of whether that's something that you want to pursue. And it's okay if it's not, right? Because it's not for everybody. There's a reason why 90 or 95% of startups fail. And I think the idea of a startup has been romanticized so much. You definitely should not be starting a company because you want to be rich. If you want to be rich, you should just work for a company, get benefits, have your holidays, and know when your money's going to hit the bank. Start a company because you can no longer stand the status quo. Because the status quo is something that keeps you awake at night. And you can't stand the fact that you are not the one to change it. So unless you get yourself to that point of wanting to change the world or change a world, you're probably better off spending your time figuring out if this is even something you want to pursue. And if it is, just know that it's going to take a minimum of 2 years before you see any sign of success, and probably another 2 to 3 on top of that before you see meaningful success. If this is something that you want to pursue, then you should absolutely do it. Because if you are successful at the end of the day, there is no better feeling than having the ultimate freedom that you work so hard to achieve.
Well, next up, we have a fellow Texas founder who is originally from the UK, but he is in Austin now, Matt Doyle, founder and CEO of Array. They help operations teams win back their day with forms tech on steroids. Welcome, Matt Doyle.
Hey, Matt, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So here with Matt from Array. And Matt, tell me what Array does.
So Array, the best way to describe it that we do it is like, if you know Google Forms, we're like that on steroids.
So
it's for the enterprise market. It's going to work offline. It's going to have automated PDFs, workflow, triggering of text messages, things like that. Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea?
So I'd been self-employed building kind of software products for a long time, but just for other people. And I wanted to make something that was more my own. And I had a bit of experience when I was trying to quit the full-time job and I was just doing freelance design. I used to run events, and I noticed that within the marketing industry, there was an issue with gathering accurate information and data and customer feedback from the field. And so I started going, hey, marketing agencies, if I were to build this thing where you could just drag and drop any questions you wanted, would you buy it? And they'd been paying big development agencies 50, 60, 70,000 pounds, because I was in England, to build these apps. I was like, man, we could just make it as a software as a service. That would be pretty wicked. And then our first customers when we started were people like Bennett. I don't know if you've heard of those guys. They used to have a field arm to them. We worked with Coca-Cola, Heineken, Nintendo. And we do still continue to work with brands like that. But we decided to pivot outside of marketing. It's just very fickle, very seasonal. So now we then worked same software, but then worked more in operations, risk, compliance.
How is it building a culture, like corporate culture, when you have people here in Oklahoma and in the UK, north, south?
We're in the stage where we hire people wherever they are in the world based on just how good a character they are and how good they're executing their job. So that's the core value that we want people across. It's just good people who are smart enough and have a decent emotional intelligence, right? And so that helps a lot. And then we have fundamentals of like little terms and phrases that we have in the organization, like listen hard and change fast is one of our sayings, which means like listen to what the customer's telling you or what the problem is, and then listen hard so you're interpreting how you can actually fix their problem, not just do what they're telling you to do, and then change very fast. So little cultural things like that we try to inject in these early days, and hopefully we can continue to keep that culture going as we grow.
That's really, really smart. And so is that part of the hiring criteria, is really just buying into that mindset?
Yeah, well, what we want people to buy, not buy into necessarily, but one of the interview techniques I've used in the past is we get people to talk to us about what their passions are. And we try and make sure that their passions are aligned with whatever task or whatever job they're doing. There was one developer we hired and we said, hey, like, show us something that really gets you going and you're passionate about. And guess what? He's a geek. So he gives us a Rubik's Cube and how he loves solving Rubik's Cubes. Like, well, he likes solving problems. So the chances are he's passionate about doing this, and he was one of the best hires we ever made. And so trying to find people and find that people have passions, I think if they say they don't have a passion, that's maybe a red flag in itself.
Oh, without a doubt.
It doesn't have to be in technology. Yeah. It doesn't have to be Rubik's Cubes. It could be whatever, right?
I think that tells you a lot about the person, is what they like, what really excites them outside of the work. But then that same personality comes into the workplace. So how do you do that when you have things that you don't like to do, you don't feel like you're great at? Do you do those anyway, or do you have other people? Do you delegate? How have you handled that as a leader?
In the early days, you have to do things out of necessity, even if you're not good at them, because you probably don't have the money or the resources to do that. But I think as a CEO or a founder, our job is like a director of a film. We have a certain amount of resources potentially available to us, and not everything goes to plan. And you have to use people's skill sets. So you need camera people, you need people who can do lighting and sound engineering. And so as we have more money, we try and use experts who are proficient in what they do. But my job is to remove issues and problems when they come up and try and give people resources.
I think it's one of the things that makes leaders successful is doing whatever it takes and removing blockers. I think that's something that's really, really key. A lot of people don't necessarily think about that as their role, but I think that's certainly a big role of us as leaders, CEOs, is moving obstacles out of the way.
Yeah, and those obstacles can sometimes be to sort of like step in when people need help or support when they don't know it.
What do you think the future of SaaS is?
That's a deep question. You didn't warn me about that one. I think the future of SaaS, well, obviously we're seeing a a repackaging and unpackaging of stuff. What I mean by that is that like we saw like the unpackaging of like cable TV into subscription services. Right. That was the unpackaging almost. And now we're almost seeing a reconsolidation. And obviously people like Disney are buying lots of stuff. So that's the streaming example. But we're seeing the same in software. We saw it with CRMs combining with customer support engines. So Zendesk acquired stuff, and the people turning into these more like molds that are coming together as one component. And I think we'll continue to see that. And I think AI will accelerate that as well, because it will cross across all things. There will be a bit more of a blur about what you're actually buying.
Where can people learn more about you and about Array?
So they can learn about Array at buildarray.com, like build a building. And you can find me at themattdoyle.com, which is my personal email address. And I talk about startup, entrepreneurship, figuring it out. So please feel free to reach out.
Love it. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, man.
Bridget here from You Can Book Me. Congratulations to Jeff and the SaaS Fuel team on their 100th podcast episode. What one piece of advice would you give to an aspiring founder who wants to run a successful SaaS company? Well, let's just start with that last point. What defines success? Because for me, success is about achieving the goals that you set out to achieve. So if you don't have great goals, or if you don't know how you're going to achieve them, or they're unrealistic, or they're very unstructured, then it's going to be less likely that you'll be able to achieve them and be successful. So the more you're able to articulate what you want and why you're doing it, and what those milestones would represent, the more successful you will be. And I think that's quite actually a harder thing than it sounds, because there's going to be loads of people giving you different advice, conflicting advice about what they think that you should do. But they don't know what it is that you really want. They don't know what your priorities are. They don't know what's important to you. So they could be telling you, here's a great path for success. But if it's based on sacrifices that you're not willing to make, or a timescale that you're not willing to invest in, then it's not going to be the right path. So you need to know what it is that you want, and then define success around achieving that. Congratulations, 100 episodes, 100 conversations with entrepreneurs talking about building a business. I love talking to you, Jeff, about building my business. You Can Book Me. And I just look forward to listening to every other episode coming up.
Well, you are going to love this next guest. Young SaaS founder who's exited twice and now helps other founders do what he's done, specifically around vertical SaaS. So like, what do you mean vertical SaaS? Well, let's hear from the man himself, Nick Tipman.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your background and the Greenlight story. What's that all about?
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart, as an entrepreneur, founder turned operator. Now doing investing and advising as well. But yeah, I was at Greenlight for a little over 8 years, part of the founding team, had a marketing CMO there. We were able to bootstrap and grow the business to many tens of millions in ARR. And then a couple of years ago, raised $120 million from JMI Equity, brought on a capital partner, stayed with the business for just about 2 years then after the transaction, and then left about 6 months ago, and then been getting into the investing and advising space.
Outstanding. So what was the idea behind Greenlight? What was what problem did you solve?
Yeah. So Greenlight is a quality management software platform for med device companies. So we help med device companies get approved by the FDA and then keep their devices on the market, stay compliant with the regulations once they had their devices on the market.
So what were the challenges in building the company, especially from a marketing perspective? A lot of founders are technical, or bringing something to market, and marketing sales is something that's maybe a little bit outside of the comfort zone a lot of times.
Yeah.
So what were the challenges for you?
Yeah, 100%. So I think they really happen in stages, and there's really kind of like your 0 to 1 million, 0 to 2 million in ARR, and your challenges and your pains there, and your go to market, and a lot of founder sales, and like really figuring out your first channel, like just getting something to work. But then that next phase, and that's what this talk is really about, is kind of that 1 to 2 to 10 million in ARR.
Right.
And that's really where I think that the go-to-market strategy and the playbook and really figuring out how to scale, like those were where the challenges really came. And then it's a new set of challenges, I think, from 10 and beyond. And that's where you look more at markets or products. At least that's how we went about it, and scaling across that value chain and different segments and whatnot. But I really believe, going back, one of the biggest lessons learned that I have is making sure you have your data model and your process, your sales process set up properly to be able to measure. But what we learned, like if we didn't have the scaffolding in place to be able to measure things apples to apples across time periods, across experiments, so it makes it really hard to be data driven and look at the data. But if you can get that data in place, and then just really it's about the speed of the experiments that you can go, that you can run, is what we've found. And so like if you got one channel working, like what's the next channel? What's your experiments? What's the next channel? What's the next persona? What's the next pain point? Like whatever it is for your business, but how do you run really quick, rapid experiment cycles on that? And then once you found something that's working, how do you then codify that into the playbook and start hiring and getting people trained on that?
One thing you mentioned was about media. And, heard that, every SaaS company is going to be a media company or has to be a media company. What do you think about that? True, not true? And how does it fit together?
Yeah, I think it's more true, and it's becoming more and more true every day. Media influences us all. And I, in that same presentation, used to say there's really only two goals of marketing at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, you're all business human. The goals are to manage perception and to change behavior. And media, for better or worse, helps manage perception. And if you are out there trying to change behavior and manage people's perception, or even at the early days, make people have a perception about you because they don't even know who you are, then you need to have a way to get your word out there. And that's kind of the definition of a media company. That's what a media company does, is bring awareness.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pulkit K. Agarwal, and I'm the founder and CEO of The Fifth Ingredient. We've developed a SaaS product known as Beer 30 that helps breweries track their data from grain to glass. Jeff, congrats on your 100th episode of SaaS Fuel. You've really made a difference to entrepreneurs globally and put together a podcast that people want to listen to for advice and on strategic ideas on how to build a successful SaaS company. For all aspiring entrepreneurs, one key advice that I'd give to you is to actually set concrete timelines for your revenue goals and by which date you need to have your first paying customer. A pitfall that many entrepreneurs fall into is spending years on a passion project without having that consistent revenue source. Hope this helps, and if anyone is ever interested in chatting more about startups and entrepreneurship, please feel free to reach out. Cheers and beers, everyone.
Next up, we have an incredibly sharp leader building a health tech company, but this isn't her first. She and her husband, Jim, built a previous health tech and sold to WebMD. Marilee Benson is co-founder and president of Zen Healthcare. Welcome, Marilee.
I'm here with Marilee from Zen Healthcare IT. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome.
It's beautiful here in Austin, Texas.
Tell me about Zen Healthcare.
We are a healthcare interoperability platform. So a lot of people may not know this, but healthcare is very antiquated.
Really?
It's not like the banking industry where you just, use your cell phone and your Apple Watch and pay for something and transactions flow seamlessly. Healthcare is much harder.
Yes, it is.
And so that's the problem that we solve. We help make sure that the right data is at the right place at the right time.
So is that what you mean by interoperability? It's things working together, getting
data flowing seamlessly across different legacy systems.
Are there really legacy systems in healthcare?
Lots of them. Yes. I mean, we have systems that have mumps underneath the covers, if anyone knows what that is. So, yes.
You have to be a certain
age to know what those things are. Yes.
I actually do know what that is. It's been a while.
We're dating ourselves.
Yes. So how did you come up with the idea?
So my husband and I, we're both the co-founders of Zen, we've been in the healthcare IT industry for 30 years. So we literally started back when we were pulling paper ledgers away from doctors and paper appointment schedules and putting computers in their offices. So we're very familiar with the healthcare industry. And during that journey over the last 38 years, we've certainly become aware of the problems with the legacy systems and the difficulty in moving data across those systems as patients move throughout a healthcare ecosystem.
Sure.
And it creates a lot of barriers to getting quality of care. It creates a lot of cost in the system. So it's really a super important problem to solve. So we've always kind of known about that. And we just had an opportunity about 8 years ago to actually found a company to take that head on.
That's awesome. So what is it like working with your husband in a business? 2 co-founders.
We love it.
That's awesome.
This is our second company in healthcare. So we actually started working together back in the 80s and had a first company together, had about 10 years with that company, sold it to, at the time, a company called WebMD. Actually, I think they're still around.
Yes.
Then we just kind of did our own thing for a while, but we actually prefer to be working with kind of a shared mission. And so when 8-9 years ago, when we started kicking around this idea, we thought, what a great kind of end of our career to do another company together.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So how important is it to have shared vision as co-founders for where you want to go and the problems that you're solving?
It's absolutely essential. I think what make Jim and I's relationship and our journey together as entrepreneurs really work is that we have a shared vision, but we also are very different in terms of our strengths. So I focus more on the sales and marketing and product side of our business, kind of go-to-market strategy. Jim is very strong on financial operations side. So while we have some overlap, we each have our strengths that we can take advantage of and each kind of let each other do what we're good at. And I think that's part of the secret of our success.
Really, really smart. If you've read Gino Wickman, Rocket Fuel, having the 2 different types of co-founders together, and it sounds like exactly what you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that is healthcare.
That's healthcare, yeah.
That's great. Well, where can people learn more about Zen Healthcare IT?
So our website is zenhealthcareIT.com. Lots of good information there. We actually do try to produce a lot of helpful content for folks that are interested in this subject. We're very active in terms of our blog post. We do webinars on occasion. So check us out and see what the latest and greatest is.
Outstanding. Thanks, Mary Lee.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sarah Noel Block, the host of the Tiny Marketing Show. And I wanted to come on over and say congratulations to Jeff and friends over at SaaS Fuel. Congratulations on your 100th episode. That is a dang milestone. And I am so proud to have been one of your guests on the show.
Next up, we have another founder from across the pond, this time Scotland. This is actually the first interview I've ever done with a man in a kilt. And Kieran made it a great experience. And, when I met Kieran and the team at Allegro, they had a whole team here at SaaS Stock in Austin. And they're all wearing kilts. And so they really, really stood out. I knew it was either going to be a fantastic SaaS company or maybe a football match was about to break out. But Kieran Baker is founder and CEO of Allegro. And they keep your email out of spam and in the primary inbox. The cool thing is they're doing it in a way that is different than some of the other players in the space. Really, really interesting. So let's hear from Kieran.
Here with Kieran from Allegro. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. How are you?
Excellent. What does Allegro do?
So we're an inbox placement tool. So we help predominantly sales teams, marketing teams, RevOps teams figure out how often their outbound emails are actually making it to the priority inbox and how often they're falling into like the unfocused folders like spam and promotions, which is happening a bit more to everyone.
All the time it happens. And I like that the what did you say, the alternative inbox? What was it?
The unfocused
inbox.
Yeah,
yes,
where
that's
you're
a great term.
You're just not getting seen, right? You're not getting read.
Right, the unfocused inbox. And I think all of us have ended up there when we don't want to.
Sure.
So what do you do? How do you get into the focused inbox?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's a few, anything to do with email, right, grows arms and legs. So
yes,
there's quite a lot. But long story short, like we give people the chance to track their email credit score.
Okay.
And your credit score is essentially given to you by inbox providers, so Google and Microsoft, if they see a lot of positive behavior. So if you're always getting your emails opened and replied to, you generally have quite a high credit score. Sales teams may not have the luxury of always getting every email replied to, right, if you're going outbound. So we essentially let teams track that credit score, but we also improve the score in the background so that sales teams can have a high credit score too and land in the right place.
So it's a lot different than just going and looking and saying, hey, we're not on a blacklist, so we must be okay.
Totally. Yeah. I think there's a lot of, historically, emails moved quite a lot over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of changes. And it used to be very binary. You were either on a block list or you weren't. But now it's got a lot more complicated. I would say most of the teams that we work with have done all those checks themselves. They know that their IP is good. They're not on block lists, but actually they're still looking to make email work kind of the way it should.
They're still in the promotional folder, spam or blocked, or sometimes the email never even gets there.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't even know how often that's happening. All of the time, they don't know how often it's happening. So they're kind of, they're kind of interested to firstly quantify how often that's happening and then stop it happening.
So what are the mistakes that companies make in sending email?
How long do you have?
The top three.
Top three. Okay, cool. I would say too long. So I get loads and loads of emails that are paragraphs and paragraphs long. I think if you're doing outbound email, try and keep it to 50 words or less. Second, the emails are always way too focused on the sender rather than the recipient.
Yeah,
I get so many emails. I wanted to reach out to you because, and they're talking about their product when, focus on the other person. Maybe a problem you think they might be experiencing, but don't be too assumptive. No one likes to be kind of preached at, right? It's maybe you're having this issue. And then lastly, too many of them don't go to the right place and don't get read. And if you're landing in my spam, then it gets automatically deleted anyway in 30 days and I never get to see it. So those would be top three.
So how has email changed deliverability over the last few years?
I would say one of the primary changes has been that historically you could send millions of emails a month as long as your recipients weren't manually marking you as spam. So as long as you're not a tech company who sells, let's say you're a CRM platform, as long as you get your targeting right, you're not emailing plumbers, right, who don't need a CRM and are going to mark you spam. As long as that wasn't happening, you'd be fine. But now, because everyone's doing more email, the content is generally getting better. So we're all kind of getting way more emails every day. We know
how to beat spam filters now.
We think we do.
Yeah.
Because that's happening more often. I think what Google and Microsoft and inbox providers are doing is they're looking at your recipient's behavior in much greater detail. So they're now looking for how often are your emails actually engaged with? How often are they being deleted before they get opened? How often are they just never being opened? And that's starting to also count against teams. So it's just a lot more nuanced than it was even 2-3 years ago.
So should we be sending more volume? Should we be sending something that's higher value to get those opens? Or what's the balance there?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because you need quality and quantity.
Right.
You can't just send one email a day,
or one a week.
Yeah. So, but you're right. Yeah, exactly. No, I think too many people get into the kind of cold email death spiral, whereby they're not getting the replies they want because they're not hitting the primary inbox. So they just up their volume. But what that does is just compounds the problem, because then you're sending more emails into spam, which mean inbox providers are there's really no engagement here. Yeah, keep going. So no, I think you want to throttle to begin with, especially if you're just starting. You want to build up really slowly. Don't send hundreds and hundreds of emails a day on day one of a sequence. But more importantly, have some insight into where you're actually landing. And we're trying to help teams maybe send actually slightly less per week or per day, per SDR, but actually get more responses. Which is kind of where you want to be, right?
And so does that come back to then having the right message in there so that it gets opened and then interacted with?
Exactly. Yeah. So the call to action as well. That's maybe another one of your, number 4 cold email mistakes is a time-based call to action. I get so many sales emails which are would you be free for a demo at 4 p.m? Which I think people... It's like you're asking to marry someone before you've ever met them. It's like walking into a bar and saying, hey, I'm attracted to you. You want to get married?
Yeah, 4 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, maybe an interest-based call to action. Hey, is this worth a chat? And actually start a dialogue rather than, you shouldn't send cold emails to book a meeting. You should send a cold email to get a reply.
Is that,
difference.
are we asking too much of our emails to maybe sell something or book a meeting instead of taking one more step? It's a giant leap instead of a step.
And you don't have to do it all on one email. You can always send an email with a little bit more, information, a couple of days later, or maybe like another thing that you thought about, or, hey, I just saw something about your company and I figured this might be of interest, and gradually kind of build it up slowly rather than trying to like do the slam dunk, home run on email number one.
So is email, does it still work today?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And will it work tomorrow?
I think it will always, if you're in B2B, I think it will always be the primary communication channel if you are marketing to like C-suite, VP level decision makers.
Nice. Where can people learn more about Allegro?
Allegro.co. And I post on LinkedIn.
Nice. We'll make sure and put links in the bio, and people should follow you for sure.
Sure. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey, Jeff Maines, this is Michael Bertoni, founder and CEO of SaaS Talent, and it is so awesome to be connected with you and partnering with you. Thank you so much for getting us on SaaS Fuel. That's the first time we connected, and we are looking so forward to working with you. Being on SaaS Fuel was an unbelievable experience. It was our first connection. Then you came up to Philadelphia and got on our show. And now we're going to potentially be working together in the future. So it's awesome to connect with you. Well wishes, 100th episode. This is so awesome. So congratulations. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Choosing a location is key for any founder. I mean, some build just where they are. Some head for Silicon Valley or tech hubs. But, lifestyle matters, and having a great one. Our next founder is doing it in the snowy slopes and sunny valleys of Utah. Right on. They're changing the way companies think about customer success, so they really set their clients up to win and give their own clients visibility that we all desperately need. Welcome, founder and CEO of Client Success, Dave Blake. All right, here with Dave with Client Success. Dave, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about Client Success and what is that?
Yeah. Client Success is a customer success management platform.
Love it.
We do everything from all around the customer. So if you think about Salesforce and HubSpot as the solution for sales teams that they use every day, all day to manage sales pipelines, Client Success is for customer success teams and post-sales teams to manage the entire customer journey. So everything we say from new to renew. Onboarding, driving engagement, measuring customer health, and then maximizing that revenue and retention from the customer side.
I like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you do is you prevent churn. Churn is the silent killer like heart attacks.
Yeah,
it's the silent killer of SaaS.
It is.
So how do you keep that from happening?
There's a lot of ways. It's a big topic, but really it's about having an engaging relationship with the customer. And really been focusing on their key business objectives. That was what I call them. Key business objectives, goals, some people call them desired outcomes, and delivering value to them. Their definition of value, not necessarily your definition of value. So
I like that. What do you think about the NPS score and how we measure client happiness?
Great question. The NPS is a hot topic.
Yes.
And what I've found over the last couple of years is you either have people who hate it or people who love it. I'm in between. I think where people who say that NPS, they hate it is because they don't feel it's a modern metric of customer health or disposition, or they feel like it's not an accurate health indicator. My feeling is that any feedback I can receive from customers is helpful. I love any feedback. And I try to put NPS in perspective of it's not the end all be all, but it's one valuable tool to get a signal from a customer and leverage that signal.
One of the things we're seeing in the customer success industry is more automation, more digital, self-service, that kind of thing. How do you think that looks in the future versus the human connection?
Yeah, I think that automation and AI capabilities are used as a tool to enhance and amplify the human experience is how we look at it.
So what role have mentors played in your success?
They've played a great role. I think all of us in all of our journeys we need examples, and we need mentorship, and we need people to look up to for mistakes and successes and those types of things. And so that's been a real value to me throughout my career as a founder and a CEO, and before, even as a professional and as a leader at Adobe and Omniture. Mentors were really important to me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where can people learn more about you and about client success online?
Yeah, so Dave Blake, you can find me anywhere, usually Dave Blake, LinkedIn, Dave Blake, or Twitter, Dave C. Blake is where you can find me. Our company is Client Success, so at www.clientsuccess.com, and we're also active on LinkedIn and Twitter as well, and love to provide great best practices and content and help, in addition to our software solution that helps SaaS companies.
Outstanding. Thanks for being on the show, Dave.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Jeff, wanted to congratulate you on 100 episodes of SaaS Fuel. Steve Benson here, CEO and co-founder of Badger Maps. We bring mapping and routing to CRM systems for field salespeople. Really enjoyed coming on your show. We chatted a bit about debt and how SaaS companies can use debt to either avoid taking venture rounds or extend the time in between venture rounds to keep more control of their company and get more done. Very powerful tool, and I was glad we got to chat about it. I guess for all your listeners, keep at it. SaaS is a tough grind, but once you get the train out of the station, this business model is really, really tough to stop. So congrats again on the 100 episodes. Talk to you later.
Our final guest of this episode is Kirillo Melnichuk, co-founder and CTO at uSpacey, a single workspace for organizing all the daily processes of companies, communication in a team, collaboration tasks, and CRM. Another first for me, interviewing a founder with pink hair. He is as unique as his solution. Welcome, Kirillo.
So I'm here with Kirillo from uSpacey.
Yeah, hi.
Tell me what uSpacey is all about.
So uSpacey is a single digital workspace for small and medium-sized businesses to operate their daily processing.
So what makes it unique in the space?
So because we are not a mono product that solves only one problem, we solve a lot of problems in one place. So users do not need to create accounts in different SaaSes, to pay for different SaaSes. They just need to sign up to us, and they receive collaboration, communication, and CRM all in one place.
So collaboration, communication, and CRM.
Yes.
CRM, I know. What do you mean by collaboration?
So by collaboration, I mean products and tasks.
Okay.
And also HRM. So we have onboarding and offboarding of employees.
Oh.
And also by communication, I mean chats and social network inside the platform.
So we don't need to be using third-party social networks and exposing data or Slack?
Yes.
Oh, nice. So everything is all together.
Everything is all together.
So what have been the challenges of bringing a product like this to market?
So the first challenge is we developed this during the war in Ukraine, because most of our team located is in Ukraine. So the main challenge is to understand what our clients want. Because there are different companies we target on all SMBs.
Sure.
And when you build a SaaS, you need to clearly hear your customers, but make your own way.
Yes. Yeah, so sometimes the ideas of things they want they can be implemented, but not necessarily in the way they envision.
Yes, definitely, like that.
So does your development background, does that help you kind of take the ideas and put those into a way that's universal?
Yeah, it is. So because I have development background, my partner, our CEO, has executive background for running 10 years of running SaaS company. And my two other co-founders are UX designer with 15 years of experience of designing SaaS applications, and our product CPO, he has a 5 years history of business consulting. So we're came together from different perspectives, from different sections of business, and this is kind of a synergy here.
So how does that work when you have multiple co-founders? Is it better to have more from different backgrounds, different things, or to have them all together the same, or do it yourself?
I think it's better to have different backgrounds, and you should have at least one co-founder. because you need to have a different opinion in your team, and you need to have the strong opinion, because you don't probably will hear everything from your employees, but you have to hear your co-founder because you're in the same boat.
Right.
Know?
Yeah, sink or swim together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really, really good. So what is it that sets your solution apart from other things out there in the marketplace?
So we have competitors, which are a set of tools, for example, Monday.
Sure.
But they are different in some ways. For example, Monday is a global product, and this is similar in all the countries. So the only localization is a language localization, and that's it. But we find local partners which implement our solution in local countries. So they talk to the businesses with their language, and by language I don't mean English or Spanish. They know the business needs in this country, the business culture. They understand the differences here. So, and also we sell our product through partner network. So we're good in building it. We sell through partners. Our partners talk to our clients directly, so we don't need to run a lot of performance ads and spend hilarious amounts of money on that.
That's interesting. So partner networks is your primary marketing channel.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And how did you balance partners versus direct sales? How did you make that choice?
So we do not sell directly.
Okay.
At all. So we don't have a sales team. We have only a marketing team, and mostly our marketing is for partners. So we sign new partners up to us. So, but if somebody signed up on our platform, they can pay us directly by invoice or by credit card inside the platform. So, but we don't challenge, we don't compete with our partners, and this how partnership works. So they know that we will not push the clients to pay directly to us. So this is pretty win-win situation.
Right. So you're avoiding the channel conflict of direct versus partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really smart. Where can people learn more about uSpacy?
On uSpacy.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Virillo.
Thank you.
It's my absolute honor to have been Jeff's very first guest on SaaS Fuel, and that he's now reached 100 episodes is frankly amazing because so few podcasts actually stick it out for that long. Anyway, one of the things that has truly stayed with me since I knew Jeff was the importance of niching down in what you offer. And then he says the more specific you get, the bigger you get. And that's just a nugget that I've just taken with me over time. Anyway, congratulations on episode 100, Jeff. And I'm very happy for the folks who discover SaaS Fuel for themselves.
Thanks again to our guest today for just being awesome and sharing your journey and insights. You can find contact info, bios, links, all on our site, SaaSfuel.com. Lots of goodies there too, especially with this episode and the last one. All those links, highlights, resources, full show notes, again, available, SaaSfuel.com. And you should really check out our YouTube channel. I mean, all these interviews are there, plus full episodes, shorts, outtakes, and some crazy things too. You can see Kieran in his kilt. You can see Carrillo with his pink hair. You can see a outtake of a fly landing on my nose and crazy stuff. Maybe me getting splashed and wet, who knows? Well, wherever you're listening to this, hit that subscribe or follow button. Everyone who subscribes this week for our 100th episode gets a bottle of Century Sauce. May not be 100 years old, but it'll spice up any dish to a factor of 100. Just don't ask what's in it because it's way too hot to talk about. Well, our guest next week is doing the impossible. And a lot of our SaaS founders seem to be doing that. Awesome founders often do. Casey Golden is founder and CEO of LuxLock. It's an e-commerce SaaS for luxury brands. I told you it's impossible. It's like e-commerce, luxury, those things don't go together, yet she is killing it in e-commerce in a high-touch, high personal connection industry. And the forward-thinking brands that have embraced are way, way, way ahead of those that are just sticking to only traditional retail because, hey, we're luxury. We can't do e-commerce. But she's saying, yes, you can. Then Thursday, On our SaaS Fuel Expert Series, we have Harry Spate, founder of Selling with Dignity and the host of the Sales Made Easy podcast. Harry brings insight into how to succeed in hyper-competitive sales environments. Anybody competing in somewhere that you say is hyper-competitive? Yeah, I think we probably all are. Well, thank you for tuning in. Episode 100 is wrapped up here, and so is our time here in Hawaii. So, mahalo. It has been so much fun these last few weeks doing these episodes here remote. And as always, wherever you are in the world, wherever your journeys may take you, enjoy the journey. See ya.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSFuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.